Shroff here to our college, Chandrabhan Sharma College. Mr. James from Teach India, Times of India. Of course, Ranu ma'am, who's really a pillar of strength since a long time. And all other people who have come along with Ranu ma'am and all of you. My dear students, faculty members, the head of department, everyone. I'm really to meet all of you. And really feeling out of context because I have just joined today. Just 10 minutes back, I have come to college after vacationing. 1 week out of India. From different weather to this weather. But really, I was not aware such a great thing is waiting for me. इतनी अच्छी opportunity मिली है आज यहाँ पे आप लोगों से मिलने का and to witness this event. I'm really happy, ma'am. Thank you for giving us this opportunity because this will definitely motivate our students. Because this creative field need to be introduced to them in their day-to-day hectic life. Plus आजकल वो reels देखते अब books लिखना या पढ़ना कहाँ रहा. So this is very important and you all must enjoy it. And I'm happy to know it's a murder mystery. I like such movies, such books. So definitely all of you will like it. And we will buy for our library also some books by ma'am. So let's looking forward to a great session ahead. Whatever has been planned by ma'am definitely will be great. So welcoming everyone again. Thank you.
Now I request our principal, Dr. Pratima Singh ma'am, to come forward and felicitate our guest author, Meeti Shroff.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I can see some familiar faces here. Gunjan, of course, is our current student. And at the outset, I would like to welcome our guest for today, Meeti Shroff ma'am, and the principal, Dr. Pratima Singh. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us, in spite of the fact that you just landed in India. Then Professor Shalit Bhaskar, HOD for BCom. She, as ma'am said, is our pillar of strength for any batch, anything that we have to do as Teach India is concerned. Professor Krishnkant Pandey, Professor Dr. Pratibha Jadhav, Professor Neha Mishra, Head Partnerships of Teach India, Mr. Anil James, my Teach India colleagues, Meenu, Abdul, and all the students who are present here, all of you. So, huge welcome to all of you. Very good morning. And I am Ranu, your host for this interesting book reading session, which is part of Author Awards, an initiative brought to you by JK Paper and the Times of India. Now, what is Teach India? Anybody knows? There are lots of Teach India students sitting here. Tell me, we have some ex-students as well. Shreyas, one of our ex-students. You would like to tell us what is Teach India?
Teach India is basically an organization of Times of India itself, which promotes, which helps students more refining the students through various courses of English language and various other courses.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, as he said, this is a CSR initiative of the Times of India. Our major program was Spoken English for Employability, wherein we have trained more than 120,000 students in all these years. It started in 2010. We have also helped employ a lot of these students in major companies, in big companies. It depends on the interest of the students. And there are lots of current students of the current batch which is happening here in Chandrabhan Sharma College also. Gunjan is one of them. She is currently a student. Okay, so much about Teach India. Now, what is Author Awards? Author here we spell as you must see. Can you see the spelling of author? Yeah? Normally, what is the spelling of author? Thor. Very good. So here we are talking about lady authors, women authors. That's the reason why we put the spelling like that. Okay. So Author Awards is a platform to encourage women authors to express their creativity and fondness for writing. It is a celebration of the art of storytelling by women writers. This initiative wishes to acknowledge exemplary pieces of writing by women authors to inspire and motivate more women to take up writing, pen that story, and feel proud of their accomplishments. On 29th October 2023, Season 5 of the Author Awards was launched. Over the last 4 years, we've seen more than 5,500 entries in various categories from across the country, and more than 70 eminent personalities have associated with the awards journey. As part of the initiative to celebrate the writing of women authors, we have executed many immersive, multi-city and virtual book reading sessions, and today we bring to you author Meeti Shroff Shah. Can we hear a round of applause for her? Thank you for that. Now the introduction of Meeti, which I was going to give, has already been given by Gunjan. So this huge paragraph which I have got here goes to Gunjan. All right. Covered that Meeti has graduated from St. Xavier's College. Okay, so Meeti has graduated from St. Xavier's College and she has done her MA in English Literature from the Mumbai University. Her new Temple mystery, A Matrimonial Murder, will be out in the US and UK in February this year, so another few weeks I think, and it's going to come out in May in India. Okay, now before we begin our chat with Meeti and before I request her to take the stage, I request you all to keep your mobiles on silent please. Okay, and in case you have a question, which you should have, please note it down. We are going to have a question and answer session at the end. Right? So all phones are on silent now?
Yes, sir.
I have put mine on silent. Done? Meeti, can I request you to take the stage? Meeti, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to see all these fresh morning faces. Thank you, Gunjan, for the lovely introduction. And thanks to India and college for this opportunity.
Most welcome, Meeti. And to begin with, I would like to know, have you always been interested in writing? That's the first question I think which comes to our mind. And when did you realize that this was your calling? You're still so young.
I don't know what young, but and I think the interest in writing came much later. I think to begin with, it was stories. My first most intense love was stories. So as a kid also, everybody at home knew that agar kuch karwana hai, like if you want me to eat karela, I want to finish my homework, promise me a story and I'll do it. Yes. So the most intense love was stories. From there grew the love for books, and from books, words, word games, poems. So as a kid, I used to write a lot of poetry, and I used to want to get published. It was my dream. So I would send it off to Sunday midday. I don't know if you, so a kid day section they used to have. So it would get published there, and my dad would bring home 5 copies, and then घर पे जो भी आएगा that week, we have to show it to them. And in case nobody came that week, we would take it there. किसी के भी घर पे so it got published. So we would buy copies for my grandparents. Everybody had to keep it and show it. So in other homes, if your guests and the parents will say, "Chalo chotu, dance and show." Uncle ko naya dance sikhao.
Poems and other very
Yes, give her a topic, she'll write a poem. That was the talent thing at home.
So that's really good. So are any of you interested in writing? Choti moti poems, choti stories, anything? Yeah? Okay.
Brave one hand has gone up, so I'm glad to see it.
Very good. What's your name?
British Chaudhary.
Okay, Pradesh, what do you write?
Poetry science and all.
Okay, very nice. Have you got published?
Yes, ma'am.
You have?
Yes.
Wow.
Very good.
Where?
Our college is
Magazine?
Yes, ma'am.
Super.
Fantastic. That's a very good first step. Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Actually, I especially write on ghost stories, and we have been started publishing on pocket novels.
I can't hear you clearly.
Can we have a mic given to her, please?
My name is Rajeshwari, and I especially write ghost stories.
Ghost stories, oh lovely.
Yeah, I'm interested in that section, so I write, and they have been getting published on pocket novels. So I've written more than 20-25 short stories.
Oh wow.
25. That's such a
Fantastic. It's so prolific. As the sage, please don't stop.
And for other budding authors and poets, maybe if you want to know how to get published or how to start writing, you can ask that question to ma'am later on when we open the floor for the question and answer session. Okay, you are from an advertising background, Meeti. How did you get down to writing a murder mystery?
So I think advertising was a step in that direction. I mean, I always knew I'd do something connected to writing. But advertising was more for the bread and butter. You know, at some point I realized I do not want to spend the rest of my life selling Colgate or underarm darkening, lightening skin creams. So I wanted to write. And the reason I chose murder mysteries is because you should write what you love to read. And for me, murder mysteries was a big draw as a kid. So that's why the murder mysteries were chosen.
That's the reason why you chose it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And also, what we find is that whenever an author starts writing or a writer starts writing, they think of kind of a major outline to the story, and then they start writing. And while they are writing, they build up on the story. So how do you go about it?
So I wanted to ask actually if anybody here reads murder mysteries or even watches murder mysteries. Yeah? Nobody's watching murder mysteries movies?
Yes, sir, hands here.
Yeah.
Can we see your hands?
I was like, I don't know how many people are reading Agatha Christie's or any of them. Yes. As this one very. But there's so many movies that have been adapted now. Knives Out, even in Hindi, Vishal Bhardwaj's movies have come out. He's adapting Agatha Christie's. Merry Christmas is coming out now. So Andhadhun, and that's not so many now. Even on Sony Live. So anyway, with a murder mystery, you've got to start. If you're plotting a murder mystery, you've got to start with who dies, why did they do it, and who dies, who murdered them, why did they do it, and who else could have done it, because then that makes it interesting. So some of these basic questions need to be answered. And unlike other genres, the plotting in a mystery has to be really tight, because then it's a satisfying mystery.
True.
अगर ऐसे ही detective को सपना आ गया that this person's murdered it, that or it's a coincidence or it's a miracle, that doesn't work.
True.
It has to be logically thought out. Clues have to be planted, right, for it to become satisfying for the reader. कि अरे this detective is clever. Look कितनी होशियारी से they've come and ढूंढ लिया, right? So it has to be plotted well. But having said that, for people who do write in the room, they know that our characters don't always listen to us. कभी-कभी पूरा, even if you've thought of the whole story, पूरा सोच लिया है, but at some point middle में character को जो करना है वही करते हैं. And if you are a smart writer, which I became after a couple of books, you say कि let me not interfere, let me follow the character and see कि कहाँ लेके जा रहा है character, where are the characters leading us. So that's how sometimes despite all the plotting, you change your plot and you respect the characters.
At the time when you are writing.
Correct.
Okay. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the book? About the book, The Death of Meeti Shroff Shah?
So like I said, it's a murder mystery. It is set in a large Gujarati household. Any Gujaratis here? Give me a cheer if there are any Gujaratis. Yeah. So it's set in a large Gujarati joint family. It is based in Malabar Hill and it's a privileged, affluent neighborhood. And Radhika Zaveri, my protagonist much more the detective. She's just come home from the US and she's dealing with a broken heart. She's got a writer's block, which dikh nahi pa rahi hai, heart is broken and she's come home to heal. But what happens there is she finds a tragedy. Her best friend, who's pregnant, has just lost her father to suicide. So Kirti Kadakia is an argumentative, khadus uncle, jisko bolte hain, cantankerous. So now he's a person who's never walked away from a fight. So he tells his daughter, I can't wait to hold my grandchild in my arms. And few hours later, he kills himself, which doesn't seem right to Radhi.
Right.
So, she's spending time with her best friend and she's noticing things around the house. The young maid is very, very terrified. There's a second cup of tea which has been found in the study. Kisi ko pata nahi hai who that cup of tea belongs to.
Okay.
The neighbor seems to know everything and is not telling much. So she starts asking questions, and the more she digs deeper, she finds out that the family members, whole joint family setup that is there, everybody has some secret or the other, and people are not being honest. And that's how we find out the murderers.
Okay. So does this interest you? Is it something interesting? Yeah? About a girl coming broken-hearted and finding that her best friend's father either kills himself or is murdered, and there are so many clues which are lying around and she goes around looking for the murderer. Okay. Can you read us an excerpt from the book?
So this is the start of the story because the mystery you can't start in the middle because things have already happened. Then murder happened. So Radhi's just come back and she's thinking about this world that she's come back to, and she's about to enter this welcome back home party which her family is throwing on. So she's thinking about Temple Hill. So among the Gujaratis on the quiet, sun-dappled slopes of Mumbai's posh Temple Hill, the fear of God is a mere second to the fear of what people will say. Reputations are prized, appearances are vital, and keeping them up is a life skill passed down through generations alongside the family tree. So this Temple Hill is actually a place where everything must seem perfect. The whole messy business of living is conducted behind silk curtains. So appearances are everything. So as she darkened her lipstick, Radhika Zaveri thought about the world she'd returned to. In a few minutes, she would enter the welcome back party her sister and brother-in-law were hosting for her. She would be surrounded by family and friends. Some would be here because they cared for her, but most others would attend out of curiosity. She could not blame them. They were sure to have heard the rumors. Radhi had been abroad for more than a decade, but the Gujaratis of Temple Hill were many-tentacled, with uncles and aunties and cousins across the world. Snatches of her life, or some warped version of it, would have got back to them. She could deal with their probing questions, the whispers behind her back, the stories they told each other which often made their way to her twisted so much that she hardly recognized herself in them. But what she couldn't bear was their pity. In a way, she was still one of them. It was essential to her that they thought she was fine. She gave herself one last look in the mirror. She was dressed in white cigarette pants and a sheer nude top, through which you could see her black lace bra and flat stomach. Regardless of how she felt, she looked good, and that was the important thing.
Very good. So, 2 years, 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 2 ye Thank you. building up the story. That's the protagonist Radhika, who's ultimately going to find out the murderer.
Yes.
And now she's dealing with her own stuff. She's come back to India after about a decade, after 10 years. And of course, there has been heartbreak. I'm going to come to that in a bit again, Meeti. So, are you interested in reading this book?
Yes.
How many?
All of us.
All of us. Somebody is there speaking for everyone. Very good. I like that. Thank you. Okay. So I'll be telling you how you can read that book. Of course, Pratima ma'am has also said that they'll be taking some copies for the library. So let's see how that works out. Okay, Meeti, you've been talking about this heartbreak of Radhika and the whisperings which have been happening in her family, you know, the extended family which is happening at Temple Hill. So let's talk a little bit about the first book that you wrote. Do you know any good boys? What was that book about? And I've heard that it's a bit of a personal, it's written from a bit of a personal experience.
Yeah, it's completely a personal experience. It's a memoir. But before I tell you about the book, I want to know if people here know what is an arranged marriage and if anyone in their family, older cousins, siblings, has anyone had an arranged marriage? Arranged marriage, Sharma hai that I arranged marriage. I don't know. Everybody's like,
Okay, here Deepika, she will be able to tell us. Charlotte man, what about the children?
yeah, I'm wondering, किसी को पता नहीं है? Is everybody's on Tinder and Hinge? Huh? Or what is the current website? I don't know. What is it? Where do people find their dates? Shadi.com. Yes, करना ही है सीधा shadi.com. Perfect, superb. So anyway, I had an arranged marriage, and before I met my husband, I met 40 men. Okay,
40 men. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
My achievement nahi hai, so please don't clap.
Trauma. This is trauma for a girl.
So every Sunday, I would have a new biodata in front of me, which I had to see and then go and meet a guy. So this book was born from there. I had to tell this story. Matlab, I said kya nahi hua in this process, you know. And I met some nice people. I met some really funny people, and their stories needed to be told. So and I wanted to basically give hope to people who are in this journey. You know that look, I know it's tough, and but if you stick at it, there are times when you do find it. I found my husband like that. So and we are 15 years married now. So it works out sometimes. So that's what the book is about. And it was written it's a guide to the arranged marriage. So every process has been described. That pehle you will meet, then you will write a biodata, then you know the ABC of the whole journey.
Okay. So how many of you would want to know about this process of arranged marriages?
No, actually, it's not for them to know. They can gift it to people who are going through it, because everybody is so traumatized.
Yeah.
So after me, my brother got married, say 7 years after me,
Okay.
and he went through the whole thing,
Yeah.
and nothing changed much.
Yeah, so it's the same for boys and girls.
Yeah.
Whether it's the boys, yeah, of course, all
Yes.
those 40 men would have met
Met-
girls. right?
yeah, they were meeting
Yeah.
women as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So can you read a portion for us, for the audience over here? For them to get an idea about what the book is.
Yes, sure. So I'm going to read from a section where I describe what are the kind of meetings you can have. Okay, there were normal, easy meetings where boy goes and meets girl, and it used to be much simpler to do those. Then there were meetings where boys' parents go and meet the girl's parents.
Family meetings.
Family meeting. So that was one kind of meeting. And then there was another kind of meeting where the full extended family has come. It's Sunday outing ho raha hai. The whole family is turned up, and you've come there. And so I'm going to read from a section from there.
Thank you. Those are your fancy reading Johor classes.
They are fancy, you like them, thank you. So this heading of this section is called Girl Meets Boy with Interactive Audience. So this sort of meeting was just sprung up on you. You went there expecting to meet the guy and his parents, and instead met more than half a dozen family members gathered around the table like it was young Himesh's birthday party. I've always been curious about this sort of a meeting. Why were these people there? Was this some kind of family outing? Did they think they'd come for a Sunday matinee show? Did they tell themselves, let's go see a girl today? Or were they part of the core advisory committee? The let's help young Himesh decide whether he should meet the girl a second time. Because really, the only thing a first meeting was going to lead up to was a second meeting. So why this fuss? I mean, I know that marriage is a big decision and that two heads are often better than one. But was the guy really going to ask his iced tea slurping, Justin Bieber t-shirt spotting 18-year-old sister on whether I was potential life partner material? Sure, lovers of Justin Bieber can be discerning, come, let's not be mean. But even they need something to go on. So I've only had one meeting where it was imperative that the extended family be there. Seeing as the son, the boy, would not be talking at all. As usual, once we'd served our time at the main table, the guy, a shy diamond trader, and I rose to go to our separate table. To my surprise, the guy's sister and brother-in-law followed us. This was to be the start of the date part of our evening. Here, in the course of getting to know each other, I could confess about wanting to get a tattoo, and he of his addiction to coke. The Coca-Cola variety, of course. We are Gujaratis. The only drugs we do are antacids. So without anyone taking down notes. We just settled upon our table, much like two couples on a double date, when the guy's brother-in-law asked me, so Meeti, do you cook? I wanted to say not really, do you? But it would have been considered rude. Although I'm not entirely sure why, since I would just be asking him what he had asked me. In the same vein as, so Meeti, do you ski? Not really, do you? But I just smiled and said sometimes, do you enjoy it? Yeah, it's not bad. Bhautik here is a great foodie. Bhautik blushed and began to eat the future in the dregs of his empty teacup. Idlis and medu vadas are his favorite. So what dishes do you make? Pasta. How about nice round rotis? If I were a little kid, this could be the moment I flung a toy car at his face. But I was a grown woman looking to get married. The most I could do was finger the sharp edges of my fork under the table and consider stabbing his eye. What was with him in food anyway? Had he not got any breakfast that day? Or had he been watching a lot of Khana Khazana lately? Or was he just looking out for the interests of Bhautik and any future children he may have together? Can this woman stir the fires of the hearth? Is that what we would hear if this were a Salzburg soap and all the characters' private thoughts were made to sound loudly while the cameras zoomed in on their conspiring faces? Because, and even though I was no brow-burning feminist, this line of inquiry was really beginning to annoy me. In fact, the most critical question in this scheme of things was why this man was talking at all. As far as I could tell, he already had a woman to stir his fires. So I looked at the man's wife and gave her a pitying smile. Nobody should have to put up with this every day. Then I assured him that I had not made a single roti in my life, and unfortunately, not even a vada.
Really interesting meeting, and while you were reading it, I could see so many reactions here in the front row, and of course, I also saw some of the students enjoying what read out to us. But the major reactions were coming from the front row, and they were yes, they've gone through it, and I was wondering whether the sister-in-law knew how to cook.
Yes, that was my question, and we already have a Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm also wondering whether she was a good cook, because his major concern was the cooking part of it. I think like it's there for all girls' questions, all the boys will ask that.
That needs to change.
Absolutely, it absolutely needs to change. How many boys know
yes,
cook over
boys
here?
here. How many boys cook here? How many boys ever enter the kitchen?
Krishna is saying that he cooks. So what do you cook?
So what about the rest of the boys? What do you all do? You all wait for your mamas to serve you?
Yes.
हाँ क्या करते हो? बहन, mom क्या आती? कौन आता है लेके? Mom.
But
Then afterwards, later.
learn from your
You should know such boys don't get married. नहीं इसको ना बोला.
अपने सर से भी सीखो ना, पुष्पान सर को सब आता है। He says, yeah. So will at least some of you boys learn, start learning to cook? थोड़ा बहुत, हाँ? ठीक है, okay, good. Okay, so Meeti, how long did it take you to write this book?
So both the books took me 2 years, give or take. This one 2 years, and the publishing process is quite long. It takes a year to kind of the book to come out.
Okay.
Then I had a baby in the middle, so I stopped writing books for a few years, and now I'm starting again. This one took another 2 years.
So 2 years inclusive of the publishing, or 2 years of writing, and then the publishing.
See, I think the point I wanted to make by talking about writing fiction and non-fiction is that the point of writing is to express yourself. Now, I'm primarily a fiction reader. I'm not I don't read a whole lot of non-fiction. But the reason to write this was that sometimes you go through experiences that you need to process, and this is a good way. Like, you know, I used to come home and I didn't write diary. I'm like, yeah, what? I said this. So this, you know, I don't know how people would write in their personal diaries, but it's a way to process yourself, you know, process your experiences. And I didn't know that it culminated into a book, finally, but that was the point of talking about it. I mean, I hope nobody has to go through this.
Yeah, I know, but I think this is India, and the process of arranged marriage still continues. So I think for a few years maybe till they decide to do the shadi.com and other stuff. Okay. And how many of you write diaries here or journals? Who live there? Yeah, the writer writes it. And Gunjan also. Very good. Anybody else? Boys?
So how do you express yourself? Koi Twitter pe hai, Instagram, like yeah. So you know, I mean, these are all modes of expression after all. Like, you know, you see something and then you wanna, you feel moved enough to say a few words about it or a line about it. You know. So is that how you are expressing yourselves?
Yes or no? Maybe something. You want to say something about it since you write?
Actually, I keep on writing day-to-day things, like whatever I felt about the particular day, or you know,
So that's a good way to start actually. Yeah.
That's actually the best thing you can do. Please don't give up the habit. You know, you go back a few years later, you'll open an old diary and you'll realize how far you've come from how you used to think, and you know, things you used to be worried about, and you might look back at it and say, oh my god, was I really worried about this stuff, you know? So it's a great way to gain perspective on life, I feel.
Yes, Paresh.
Oh, I'm so glad to see it. Yes, even I used to guard my diaries. Take them around. Lovely. This is your poetry journal. Lovely.
Rajesh, can you hold it up for our photographer? He wants to take a photograph with your journal.
It's a new murder mystery. It's called a matrimonial murder.
Yeah.
And the mystery begins. It's you know matrimonial bureaus. Does anyone know what a matrimonial bureau is? Okay, does anyone know what a matchmaker is? You know those aunties who will call your mother and say, "Acha rishta hai. I know somebody for you. Good boy. I know good boy for you." Yeah. So there is this very fancy matrimonial bureau. And the city's most powerful matchmaker who's receiving these very threatening tarot cards. So she's not taking it seriously. They're threatening notes, and she's not taking them seriously until she finds a dead woman in her office.
Oh my god.
And then she turns to Radhi Zaveri, who by then has become a mystery writer. By this book now she's writing mysteries. So she turns to her for help because she doesn't want to go to the police, because that's going to ruin her reputation. And as we know on Temple Hill, reputation is everything and everything. So she asks her for help, and together they solve the mystery.
So you're still working on it, or it's done?
It's done. It's coming out to get published. The next one that I'm working on is set in a school in a college. Like it's called a lesson in murder.
Okay, that's nice. So that's also again part of the network.
Yes, it's the same.
Anybody wants to ask any questions to Meeti? We will throw the floor open now for questions from the audience.
If you all don't ask me questions, I'll ask you all the questions. I'm curious to know what you do with your free time. If you're not watching reading books, you're not watching movies also, or do you all not watch suspense? Suspense नहीं पसंद है, thriller नहीं पसंद है, shows I'm talking about. बहुत पसंद है, thank you. हाँ, so this is the book version. In fact, this one is getting made into a TV show. The screenwrites have been bought. कुछ तो निकलेगा.
So we can expect to see something of this book on either TV or as a film or something. Okay, any questions?
Since you said that the next book which you're launching is on, it has something elements of character. So do you believe in that?
So very strange to ask me. I have learned how to read tarot, and I practiced it for about a year or so. And then very spooky things started happening. In my head it was spooky. The things I was saying were coming true, and I just spooked out and stopped doing it altogether. But of course, it stayed with me all these years, and they've entered the book somehow on their own. So one thing you'll find when you're writing, aspects of your book aspects of your life find their way into your books, whether you realize it or not. To give you an example, the reviews for this book. So there's a big small side book author program going on here also in this corner. They are also discussing some very interesting book there, which I want to know more about. So anyway, sorry, what am I saying?
Saying how
So
the
the reviews
reviews
for these
from your books.
talked a lot about the food. This book made me hungry. This book we wanted to find out where the nearest Gujarati restaurant is and go eat Indian food. So a lot of that kind of reviews came, and I was like, this is not related to food, my mystery, but because Gujaratis are a very food-loving culture, and there's a lot of focus on homemade, fresh meals, which are actually in production. मतलब हमारी lunch on a regular day, there'll be like 7 items on the table. And on lunch we're talking about अब dinner में क्या करना है. Especially in the bigger homes, the conversation around the first meal is what are you going to make for lunch now? Lunch में what are you going to make for dinner now, right? So that is the kind of conversations that are there, and they found a way into the book.
Ma'am, since I read your book, there was this one. So I have two questions. See, I can sense a beautiful sensuality in your book, which gives me that sense that the ones which I read in Agatha Christie. So is it like have you adapted it from your own experiences, or by reading my books?
Good question.
Yeah, superb, and I'm so glad you read Agatha Christie's, because I was asking Ranu just yesterday, because that is, so I grew up reading Agatha Christie's, and I loved her stories, and I used to keep thinking that I'm so interested in a mystery that's happening in a small English village, in a small Scottish town. You know how those mysteries are. The characters are like one country doctor, one vicar, the church, the minister of the church. Small town characters used to be there. And I used to think that the way I'm interested in learning about that English village life, there might be somebody sitting in England who's interested in what's happening in my cozy little neighborhood in Mumbai, Gujarati neighborhood in Mumbai. So that's how this book came about. And when I was writing it, I kept thinking, okay, the US UK people are going to love it, and that's what happened. It got sold there first first.
Okay.
I got a publisher in the UK first. It got longlisted for a very prestigious crime writing award.
Yeah.
And Singapore, yeah. And then the publisher here picked it up. So, if you're asking whether I was inspired by Agatha Christie, 100%. Because all the writers you read, you will find glimpses of them in your work. If you admire them, you will subconsciously try to reflect what you loved about their work and hope that some of it comes into your work as well. So characters, as you know, there are two detectives at Sheep. There's Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple, who are the two detectives. But if you want a recommendation, there's a book called The Crooked House by Agatha Christie, which is absolutely tedious. A movie is made on it also, guys, for people who don't read. Crooked House, Netflix pe hai, dekhna, it is superb. You will not see the end coming.
What do you prefer? I mean, watching mystery movies or reading mystery?
Both. I consume a lot of murder. My mother used to be very concerned for me. She would give me money for 2 books in the library. Somehow she thought that fresh air and playing and all this is important. I don't know why. But the play with people your age, why? I'm just joking. I know it's important. But so they would give me money for 2 books. Because they're बहुत consume करती है. I'm constantly reading about murders and mysteries. So in all formats.
Yeah, I mean, I have more novels than my study values. Then when I write books, so it's completely open that. So my parents usually they feel like se bahar dekho, don't write this. So they're kind of against of it.
So soon you'll become an adult and you can do what you want with your time and you don't have to listen to your parents. That's all I can say, because I know when you go into the world, you want to sort of be in it, listen to the characters there. So I understand what you're saying, but you will have to, at some point you'll be able to choose how to spend your time. Till then,
Thank you. Any other questions? Gunjan?
What is the best time of day for you to write?
best type of day? Morning. I'm a morning person, so if my mornings are productive, then a lot of ideas, a lot of energy then it flags. So most people have a rhythm. It's called a circadian rhythm. So if you can sort of identify when are you the most energetic, and for any kind of work, not writing, but if you know the kind of time that you are most productive at, so you can go mountains, I think, at that time.
For me, it's midnight.
So you're an owl.
Yeah, totally.
What important advice would you give to first-time authors?
So people who've already written or they're trying to write, who are these first-time authors?
They are trying to write.
So I would say that starting a book is easy. It is the times when you've written 2 chapters and then you're stuck, and then you don't know what to do, and then you feel like giving it up. Like, this is boring. Nobody's gonna like this. What am I writing? What am I wasting my time on? So all sorts of doubts you will be afflicted by, and if you can ignore them and tell them to take a nap and just keep showing up, keep at it. So this book, when I was writing, there are days when I could manage only 100 words a day. 100 words, that's it. Pura din chala gaya. You said I took a break. I left my job because I said abhi nahi karna hai and I want to write out. And the whole day, in the night, the only thing I have to show for my time is 100 words.
And this is when it was already written in your journal, in your diary.
No, the scribblings. There was scribblings, not
No, but like you had your kind
I had material. It was not out of thin air. This was out of thin air.
Totally.
This was, I would call up my friends. Asha, you remember this guy and I wanted to tell you about him, So, and it took me just 100 words to show for it. So, I'm just saying there are many days that are very hard and you have a lot of self-doubt. And I think the important thing is to keep at it.
Just try again. I think just keep at this.
Also read for first-time writers or any writer, anybody, just read a lot.
Thanks, Gunjan. Anybody else? Yeah, okay.
So I think in the night when they're scrolling on their phones, Insta Reels, when everybody's watching Insta Reels, if we can put the phone away for a bit and pick up a book for 10 minutes in the night, I think that 10 minutes converts into a longer habit later. And I would say start with something like a page turner, like a mystery or a suspense novel, because उसमें क्या होता है, you want to know now what. So then that converts into a longer reading habit.
Once we start reading, the book is not end, we can't stop it. We continue reading.
Especially if the mystery होती है.
So true. I mean, I have not learned the balance yet. If I get into reading, I have spent the whole day reading. I have done it. So I don't know. I'm not the best person to advise on how to balance. But I think if the students are reading, stop to mati karo. You know, like let them read. I think it's a great quality. Like I have a daughter. My daughter is 10 now, and if I find her reading on a Saturday, and I know there's piles of homework to be done, but I don't disturb her because I think the kind of focus that you approach, it's great for your brains and development as well. So I'm like, homework hota rahega. There's no point, but this sort of quiet time where you're immersed in something is important.
But I also read one book that is Mysterious Girl of the Day. It's I think so 400 pages. Till yet that book is not end, I can't stop it. And because of that, my other work are affected.
Work will start happening 3 days, it's okay. Work can wait.
As long as people are getting food at home, it's fine.
Mental boys can go and cook a bit.
That's a good reason actually.
Yeah, while reading, can you guys please fix a sandwich?
I just wanted to ask what was your favorite part of being a writer?
Oh, but it is a lot of favorite parts. I get to sit in my pajamas the whole day, having chai and writing. That is my job. And some days I can't believe it. You know, people go running, train, cab, leke bhaag rahe hain. And I need to get to sit in my pajamas and I'm thinking of now how best to kill somebody off. You know, I'm researching poisons. Then I'm calling up a friend. Acha, if I put this into a steam inhaler, if I put mercury into a steam inhaler, what do you think happens to the person? So that's the kind of research I get to do. And then if I feel I want to watch a mystery show or something in the middle of the day, I tell myself ये काम के लिए है. So there's a lot of you're actually creating worlds out of thin air. So you are the boss. You can do what you want with your characters. So there's a lot of it's fun, but it's not all fun. Please don't. It's very, very hard work. So I just want to be very clear. It's hard work to write, and it's hard work to get published, and then it's hard work to sell those published books. It's a lot. It's a 3-part process. So a lot of it is a lot of hard work, but it's fun if you like it.
And also, like she said, you just can't put anything in the book. You need to research it. If you are going to put mercury in the steam inhaler,
Yes.
you will
I talk to doctors. At some point I spoke to a forensic expert because I wanted to know how. Because this is not something we grew up with, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, our lives, and fortunately so, are far away from this world of poisons and murders and cops. So then you need to talk to people to find out, to make it authentic.
And you just can't put anything there. Like you said, to make it authentic.
Yeah.
You need to understand, need to talk to experts and then put it there.
Exactly.
Anybody else? Otherwise, just last 1 or 2 questions we'll take now. Yes, Meeti Shroff.
I would have. Thank you.
Hello.
So I would appreciate, this is the last question actually. I saw a lot of boys here not being interested in cooking. Yeah. So through you I want to send across this message to them. If they want a successful partner in life, who is financially independent and educated obviously,
I don't think there's any two ways about it in this day and age. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You want an educated working partner, but घर आके then the person has to make badala vada, that's not going to happen, you know. You have, in the sense, it needs to be a joint effort, and I think that's going to be healthier. And that is mind shift in mindset. And you know, more than men, women need to make that shift. Because I see a lot of, to give you an example from my own life, I was living in the US, and my mother-in-law came to visit us in the US, my husband and me. And my husband finished dinner, and I took the dishes in, and we were doing the dishes together. So she comes and says, tells my husband, you sit, you've worked the whole day, I will do this. So women need to learn that it's okay for men to be in the kitchen and wash those 10 minutes of dishes. So women who are bringing up boys have a great responsibility, I think.
It's the upbringing, I also agree.
Upbringing.
So mothers of boys.
Mothers of boys, big one.
No term that you should get your boys to do some amount of housework to help around. Yeah, it's not infra-dig. Now you want wives, like you said, who are working, who are equally contributing to the money in the house. So why can't you contribute to the running of the house? Yeah. All right. So I think I was going to ask you this question. If you want to give any advice to them, Kathleen was already asked you. I would like to ask you, what is that one? What can the students do to take that one big step to follow their passion? For instance, Rajshri over here, she writes a diary and she's doing it continuously, even though her parents are telling her not to do it because they're afraid that she's going into that ghost zone, right? So, I think lots of them, maybe not writing, maybe they want to study, they want to join a course of CA or computers or anything. They want to take that one big step. What is it that they should do?
But I'm actually curious because I know this is the commerce class, am I right? So what are the kind of things you guys want to do? I'm just curious if one or two people can tell me, I mean not related to writing at all, just what are the things that you are looking to do with your lives? सोचा है कि क्या करना है, आगे बढ़ना है जिंदगी में? No, not the writer, not the. I want to know what are the other people doing. Tell me. CA. So, see, these are the kind of things. I know a lot of people who abandon the course midway. I know people because it gets hard. So, my advice, business entrepreneur. Perfect. It's a day and age of entrepreneurship. You know why? Because you can now reach your client base directly. You don't have to depend on, like, because of social media, you start anything, you can reach people on your own. So I think it's a day and age. A 3D model artist, like okay, superb. So then that's a creative field again. Yeah, like animation, design, all of that. Advertising, designing, films, yeah, sure. Like Aakar and all the kind of yeah. So I think any of this, I think starting off, in my opinion, has always been easy. It is the middle part where you lose that initial energy and your spirits flag. मतलब नहीं होगा, this is too tough, this is not as interesting as I thought it would be. I think my advice is to keep at it, to stick to it, to show up on your table every day, day after day. And I think the people who succeed are not the people who have the best ideas, but the people who stick to it in the end.
Thank you, Meeti, and I would like to thank you once again for taking time out from your busy schedule to come and talk to us students over here. Although she's not here now, but for coming and joining us briefly in the beginning, Professor Sharma, the wonderful faculty of Chandrabhan College, and thank you Mr. Anil James for being here and encouraging us always. My teacher, dear colleagues who are here, a big thank you to Nitika, who is our volunteer for the current Teach India batch. Happening in Chandrabhan College. Our I think headed by Suraj probably, and Faisal sir from the IT department who helped in arranging the sound system while we are able to use all of this. And to the staff, to all your staff, please thank them, Shalit, who has supported us to have this seamless event. Let me not forget to thank Viral and his team who has taken care of all the logistics that have been put together over here. Keep checking out the author awards. So author awards. Keep checking out this page on Facebook and on Instagram, and see when is our next book reading session. And with that, I can thank all of you, and students can fly out now. And of course, now I will ask Legion Anthony to please propose a vote of thanks.
For the small thing for the two writers in our room. If you all have any questions, please feel free to get in touch. I'm on Instagram, so just ping to me. I would love to help.
Yeah? James and Rashid.
Good morning, everyone. I, Legion Anthony from TYB. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made our book reading session a resounding one. Special thanks to esteemed chief guest, Meeti Shroff, for gracing us with your presence and insights. Our sincere appreciation goes out to Mr. Anil James, sir, Head of Partnership at Teach India, and Ranu Said, Consultant and Program Coordinator, for the invaluable contribution. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our Managing Trustee, Mr. Prasadji Sharma, sir, our Principal, Dr. Pratima Singh, ma'am, our HOD of PICO, Professor Shalit Vasu, ma'am, HOD of BMS, Professor Umesh Kabadi, sir, and all our faculty members of PICO. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our student volunteers and all the students who actively participate in this session. Your enthusiasm and engagement made this event a great success. Once again, a big thanks to Teach India for their unwavering support and for organizing this event in our college. Let's continue fostering a love for reading and learning together. Thank you.